Is good. It's your boy Ty back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we're going to be doing a tier list of the shooting guard position in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. Now, obviously, guys, we've got like 70 or so cards here. Some of the base set rubies aren't on there, so like, I don't know, such as a guy like Austin Reeves isn't on this list, DeJounte Murray. If you want to see where those guys stack up compared to some of the other cards that were out day one, then you are going to have to watch my first tier list of this year. Now, why don't I include everybody? Well, I don't have enough space to include everybody, okay? That's really the main story here. If I could include everybody, I would. Now, we're going to start it off here at the bottom with Ruby Bradley Beal, who you do get, I believe, on your road towards Kyrie Irving. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Bradley Beal is short. His release isn't great. He's fine, I guess, but in the grand scheme of things at the shooting guard position, he's not good. Then we go to Brandon Roy, who, in my opinion, is the best overall shooting guard in the game. And I will stand on that, man. I am a massive fan of Brandon Roy in my team. At first, I liked the card. I wasn't like, you know, gassing him to the moon. I said like him, T-Mac, and D-Book were all the same level. And that just simply was not true, okay? Brandon Roy is in a tier of his own. With all those badges he gets, with all the stats he has, he is that elite in my team. Just kind of a side note, guys, Dwayne Wade isn't going to be on this tier list because I prioritize him at that point guard position. And I just don't think it would be fair to put him at the shooting guard position when it's not his best position. On the point guard tier list, he would have been S tier, okay? Brent Barry up next. I don't know. Brent Barry's better than Bradley Beal, though. That's what I do know. Again, how does he stack up against, you know, let's say some of the other guys? We'll have to see when we get there. But I do think, you know, compare him to Bradley Beal, he's better. Now, am I in love with Brandon Roy, or am I in love with Brent Barry, not Brandon Roy? No, okay, I think he's fine. His release to me is just too weird. And not to say you can't use it and have success with it, because you can. I just think it's a little weird. It's kind of like a set shot. It's not super slow, but it's fine. He was your first salary cap reward. So if you didn't get Brent Barry, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Bruce Bowen, in my opinion, is better. And here's how I'm going to do things for now, okay? Because I feel like we're going to get a lot of great guys. Bradley Beal, I'm going to throw at D tier, okay? I'm going to throw Brent Barry at C tier. And then obviously Bruce Bowen at B tier. I'm a big fan of Bruce Bowen. The only thing I don't like about him is I wish he just had more total badges. That's kind of the one negative thing that I can say about him. But the rest of him, I mean, I love. I can't sit here and say too much bad about Bruce Bowen, because from top to bottom, I am a massive fan of him. His release is outstanding. He plays really solid defense. There's just not much bad to say about the card. And that's outstanding. And if I don't have to say anything bad about a card, that means something is good. Desmond Bane up next. I mean, here's the thing. I love Desmond Bane, and especially for like your starting shooting guard, like if you're just starting your squad. Is he better than Brent Barry? I think so. I'm going to throw him at B tier, okay? He's a different shooting guard. Desmond Bane is more of like a primary ball handling shooting guard, so if you needed like primary ball handler for, let's say, like triple threat online, that's what Desmond Bane is going to provide to you guys. Now, is he going to play as good a defense as a guy like Bruce Bowen? No. And so that's just, I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for at that shooting guard position at the end of the day. Ruby Devin Booker up next. I mean, here's your promo card. So again, if you don't have him, it's not like you can get him, I don't think. He's fine. He's C tier. Not going to play a bunch of defense. Not great. Amy D-Book is A tier. I absolutely love Amy D-Book. And offensively speaking, I think he might be your best shooting guard in my team. There's been a lot of talk since D-Wade was released. Should you pair Amy D-Book with D-Wade? And honestly, I like the idea of it. I've not tried it yet, just because I'm not a fan of running D-Book, just because defensively he does leave a ton to be desired. But if that's something you guys want to try out and let me know how it goes for you, I would appreciate that, because I do think those two together would make a really, really, really solid duo in general. Now, that's just my opinion. I've not tried it out, but D-Book with Wade at point guard, I think is an ideal situation. Dominique Wilkins up next. I'm throwing him at B tier. I don't know why a lot of these cards have the white around them. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. Some of these cards, again, I had to do what I had to do to get the right download. It does look weird, but it is what it is, so bear with me there. Okay, Dominique Wilkins. Here's the deal. This year, they made Dominique Wilkins 6'8", okay? And so that's one of the main things, one of the main good things about Dominique Wilkins. He's 6'8". Wish he had better defense defensive badges. His release is quick. It's just kind of weird. I don't hate Dominique Wilkins at all. And if you want to run Dominique Wilkins, man, do what you have to do. He's a free card on your road towards the D-Wade, and he is a B tier level card. Joe Harris is not B tier. Joe Harris is D tier. Joe Harris is a card I absolutely can't stand, okay? Yes, I know he's going to shoot the ball well, and I got my challenge done with him, which was knocking down 4-3, shooting over 50% on the road forward to Wade. But do I love Joe Harris? No, okay? I'm not going to sit up here and hype up a card who is basically a one-trick pony. Yes, he can shoot the ball well, but to me, he's a way worse version of like a Kyle Korver. Not a fan. Mo Pete, I'm a bigger fan of. Still don't love. Thing with Mo Pete is he's at least 6'7", and he plays better defense than a guy like Joe Harris. Like, Joe Harris defensively is horrible. Mo Pete is average on the defensive end of the court, so at least you can run him. They're both not great. Joe Harris, D tier. Mo Pete, C tier. Zach LaVine, a card I am a fan of, and I'm throwing Zach LaVine in A tier. Do I think he's better than Devin Booker offensively? No, and a lot of it has to do with Devin Booker's fade is just too overpowered. But Zach LaVine offensively is incredible. The problem is he's 140,000 MT, and I just can't sit up here in front of you guys and make the case he's worth that, because he's not. I don't mind Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine's fine. Not worth the MT he's going for. David Thompson up next. I mean, look. He's only 6'4". I wish I could sit here and say he's better. I'm throwing him at C tier. He's not great, okay? And the worst part about David Thompson is he's got like a 50-some three ball, okay? So I get it, right? His hot spots are fine, and maybe if he had a better three ball, he'd be higher. I'm going to put him in D tier. That's how much I despise David Thompson in my team. Luka Doncic up next. And I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of hype behind Luka Doncic, but is he great? No, I'm going to go B tier with Luka. Anytime I see Luka Doncic, I start laughing because he's just not good. There's nothing good about Luka Doncic. You can't even say, oh, offensively he's one of the best shooting guards, because he's not. You can't say, oh, defensively he's one of the best shooting guards, because he's not. And you can't say he's one of the most complete shooting guards, because that would be a lie too. I mean, you really can't say a ton about the card. He's fine, and if you want to run him, do what you got to do. I'm just being honest with you guys. He is not great in my opinion. He's going at B tier. DeMar DeRozan up next. Shooting guard position is A tier. 6'7", smooth release. I know his three ball is a little low. I would have liked to see it be a little bit higher, but it is what it is at the end of the day. You can use it and have some success with it. I do not mind DeRozan. He's going A tier for me. Reggie Lewis, he would be better if he could shoot. I mean, D tier. He doesn't have a good three ball. To me, he's basically a taller David Thompson. And I know you guys are going to be like, what? You're comparing him to David Thompson? I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Honestly, tell me I'm wrong. I feel like, you know, he literally is that off-brand David Thompson. And so that's just, again, my opinion on it. If you guys want to disagree, do what you got to do. But from what I've seen so far out of Reggie Lewis, he's not the Reggie Lewis of old. Jamal Crawford, not great either. For me and Jamal Crawford, like, I know his handles are good, right? But outside of that, what does he really provide for you on the court? I don't think it's much, okay? And again, that's my opinion. You guys can disagree with me if you want to. Look, I know he's Jamal Crawford. And in past years, he's normally a hyped up card. Just don't see it with the card. Eddie Jones, a card I really do like. I'm throwing Eddie Jones at B tier. I know Eddie Jones' release this year isn't as good as it's been in like past years, stuff like that, but he's still going to play defense pretty well. He's in the handle set, so he can actually handle the ball surprisingly, absolutely elite. I mean, he's a different type of Eddie Jones, and that's how you have to think of him, but he is a really good card in my team. And so is Raja Bell. Raja Bell's interesting, right? Because I know Raja Bell's good. I can't sit up here and say I've used the card a ton, though, because I haven't. I know he's good. I hyped him up when he came out. I just have been too stunned with Robert Covington in the same drop. I do think Raja Bell is one of your best emeralds at the shooting guard position. We're throwing him all the way up to B tier. Shannon Brown, you stink. You are F tier. I'm sorry. You're not the Shannon Brown people wanted. You're just not. And I know people are going to be like, what? Why are you slandering him like this? Look, I hate to break it to y'all, man. Shannon Brown has had some, I mean, I don't even know if he's had some good cards, but you think a Shannon Brown card could be good. This card is not good. Just saying how it is. Allen Houston, he's fine. I'm going B tier with the card. Look, you're fine, okay? Allen Houston, if you wanna run Allen Houston, man, do what y'all gotta do. He's just not, in my opinion, that next level, that next tier, A tier good. He's B tier. You can use him and have a lot of success with him. Do not think he is quite A tier. Duncan Robinson gonna shoot the ball well, decent height. I'll go C tier. I think he's better than everybody at D tier. And why do I like him over a guy, let's say, like Joe Harris, right? Because you guys might be like, Ty, he's basically the same card card is Joe Harris. Well, here's the deal, guys. I just think Duncan Robinson's a little taller. I think he's a little more complete. And part of it's just, you know, I wish they would have just made Joe Harris better. So maybe I'm being biased against Joe Harris. That could be totally true as well. And I'll be honest with you, it could be a fact. But, I mean, honestly, I'm going to move Joe Harris up. I mean, here's the deal, guys. Shooting the ball is so important. So if somebody can shoot the ball, I mean, I guess I'll keep him at a D tier. Troydan is F tier, guys. No, he's not F tier. I'll go D tier with Troydan. Man, he is bad. Man, he is bad. And yes, I would rather use Joe Harris than Troydan. And you guys might be like, Ty, are you crazy? Man, I got Troydan on my no money spent. And you think, oh, he's an amethyst. You probably use him, right? No. I will never use Troydan ever unless I have to do like a challenge with the amethyst player. He is that bad. And trust me when I tell you guys, Troydan is not a card to ever pick up or even think about picking up. He is absolutely horrible in my team. And I'm not trying to just sit here and slander him, but that's the truth behind Troydan. He is horrible in my team. Next up, guys, we do see Clyde, and I like Clyde. I like Clyde quite a bit. Now, the problem is I think he's a Dominic Wilkins type level, right? I don't think he is quite A tier, because if you're giving me anybody at A tier, I'm taking him. I'm taking them over a guy like Clyde. And Clyde's complete. Clyde can do it all on the court. If you want to rank Clyde even higher, I'm not gonna be the one to sit here and argue you. I just wish, you know, he was better defensively. He has good height, 6'7", decent release. 3-ball only at a 74, I do believe scares me a little bit as well. Latrell Sprewell up next. I'm throwing him a B tier. There's going to be people that don't like Latrell Sprewell because his movement is really bad. The one thing I'd tell you guys with Latrell is look at his release and look at his defense. Those two things, in my opinion, are good enough to have him at B tier. A lot of people might disagree. That's where I think the card stands. Jamal Wilkes up next, D tier. This card stinks, man. He can't shoot. He's not good. I mean, he's borderline F tier. He is that bad in my team. I mean, I'm sorry. I gotta put you at F tier. I have to. You are horrible. And the worst part is, you guys might be like, oh, but Ty, he's free. You don't have free card bias with him. How am I supposed to have free card bias with a card that stinks? Like, you'd think, oh, a free Ruby, you'd be excited about him. No, the card reeks in my team. Chris Mullin up next. I like Chris Mullin quite a bit. I'm gonna put him at B tier. Doesn't quite crack my A tier level, but he is a B tier shooting guard in my team. Is he better? Is he one of the best pure sharps in the game? I don't know. One of the best is kind of crazy, but if you have Chris Mullin, you can definitely use him. Bingo Smith, another F tier card. Jaden Ivey, D tier. Ray Allen, D tier. I mean, Ray's not that bad because he can shoot the ball, I guess, but I'm still taking Joe Harris and Duncan Robinson over him. I mean, look, I've got to be fair if I'm going to do this thing right, and yeah, I think that is where Ray Allen belongs. And you guys might be like, oh, but Ty, I've had a lot of success with Ray. Well, then use Ray. Do what you guys got to do. I'm just saying he's only 6'5". I just think he leaves something to be desired. Desmond Mason, D tier. He's not very good either. Now we get to at least some exciting parts, right? We get to Vince Carter, we get to Dr. J, and we get to Mitch Richmond. So let's rank them all as it stands right now, okay? And this is my initial opinion. And then the more I think about it, though, I'm like, okay, I do like Dr. J more than Vince, and I like Vince more than Mitch. And I think the way I've got to do this is putting Mitch at B tier, Vince at A tier, and Dr. J at A tier. I think this is the way I have to do things if I want to do it right and have an accurate tier list for you guys. Now, again, between Vince and Dr. J, you guys can have your preference. The fact that Vince went on sale for 77,000 MC was something I really hope you guys took advantage of. And again, if you didn't, it's okay, but I hope you guys took advantage of that because, yeah, we haven't seen a lot of cards to that level go on basically a 50% discount. Now, is Vince my favorite shooting guard in the game? No, he's only at A tier, but he's at A tier with some of the other elites of the game. Devin Booker, DeMar DeRozan, Dr. J. Vince, really solid, deserves A tier. Asar Thompson, he has a 63 ball, I think. I mean, he's tall, lengthy, but I don't know. I guess I'll go C tier with the card. Not the biggest fan of him in general. George Gervin, I'm going to C tier as well. What does George Gervin do exceptionally well? I don't know. Okay, he's on the court, like you can run him, but he just doesn't do anything at that next level good. Bob Dandridge, D tier, like he's tall, but I mean, again, what does he really provide for you on the court? We're getting a few garbage men here. Ricky Pierce, another garbage man. Ronnie Brewer's not a garbage man. He's actually really solid I'll go C tier with Ronnie Brewer, right? You know Ronnie Brewer is going to play decent defense. Offensively, he's fine. I think he's deserving of C tier. Not great, but definitely is deserving of that C tier. Now we get to Marcus Smart, Dylan Brooks. These guys are both B tier. They're different players, right? Marcus Smart, in my opinion, has the better release. Movement's better. Dylan Brooks, wider, maybe going to defend bigs better. Both cards defensively are exceptional. Offensively, not ideal. But both cards, in my opinion, deserve that B tier. Anybody at B tier, guys, I think you can use and have a lot of success with. Okay, I gotta make that clear because you guys might be like, okay, Ty, but why is a card at C tier? C tier is my tier of like, I mean, they're fine, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend them using them. You know, like that's kind of where I'd have my C tier as it stands right now. And the one guy I want to move up from C tier is Devin Booker. I mean, I really think Devin Booker is that, you know, B tier level. I really do. And honestly, I'm going to move Brett Berry up as well. I think both those cards you can use and have some success with. So I'm going to move some players up to A tier because I feel like it. And maybe I'll move some up to S tier if they are absolutely elite. Now, A tier, I think Mitch is probably the best that I have here at A tier. And then we'll leave it at that. You could argue Allen Houston, though. He's not bad either. Jordan Poole, I just don't see it. I'm going to go C tier. Now, there's going to be some Sim Nation people like, oh my gosh, Ty, look what I did with Jordan Poole. I don't care. He doesn't defend. He's very mid. If you want to use Jordan Poole, be my guest. Have fun doing it. You will not catch me running Jordan Poole. And that's no disrespect. Just can't catch me running him. Eric Gordon, F tier. I mean, my whole thing with Eric Gordon is, okay, if he doesn't have a good release and he doesn't play good defense, like I can't even make the case for him. Like, oh, but he can knock down shots. Man, his release is not it. Max Strus, I guess, is D tier because his release is at least better. Not good. J.R. Smith, I'm going B tier. I honestly really do not love J.R. Smith. And I'm going to put him at B tier because if you look at his stats, he still defends pretty decent, pretty solid. It's just my whole thing with him is I just think there are other cards, shooting guards that are at least a little better. Vernon Maxwell is fine. Good 3-and-D option. I'll go C tier. Kelly Tripucka, I think, is borderline B tier. I'm going to throw Kelly at B tier. He is a pure sharp that's better than Duncan Robinson, in my opinion. Problem is, Mo Pete, does he belong in B tier? I mean, this is where things really get difficult. I guess I'll put him at B tier. I'm hyping a lot of these cards up. So if you're like, Ty, you have a lot of these players way too high. Look, we might have to readjust here sooner rather than later because as I'm looking at my tier list right now, it's pretty top heavy. Byron Scott, he's not very good, not tall. I know his release might be decent, but I'm not going to hype him up. T-Mac, A tier, borderline S tier. Like, I mean, I love T-Mac. Again, I'm going to actually move some players up, okay? Because I do think these three are in a tier of their own right now. But then Dr. J is close, and then Vince is close. Like, it's just so hard. I guess this is, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I guess this is where I'm going to have things, but I don't really like this because I feel like Vince is in that same tier of good. And you know what I'm going to do? You guys might not like this, but I'm going to move Vince up too because I think there's a bigger gap between these three than the top five, you know, when it comes down to separating them. But then the nice part about what I'm doing right now is I can then move some players up from B tier that I think are in A tier, okay? And so I actually don't mind how I've kind of created this list in general and the fact that I can move some people up without really any hesitation. So gonna do that and then we'll hop into our next guy. Ant-Man up next. I do think Ant-Man is in B tier. Not great, but you can use him, have some success with him. My whole thing with Ant is, when are we going to see a good Ant? Like, they've held Ant for how long? We need to see a good Anthony Edwards sooner rather than later in my team. Kyle Korver up next, B tier. If you want to run Kyle Korver, do it. But I'm telling you, if you're running Kyle Korver on like the best squad in the game, you're a bot. Next up, guys, we do see Jason Richardson. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of J Rich from his release to everything else. I mean, again, another card like, he's fine. You can use him and have some success with him, but just not a card that I love, right? And again, do what you guys have to do. If you really want to run J Rich, do what you got to do. I just don't love him. Sasha Vujacic is going to shoot the ball really well, and for that, I'll put him at C tier. C tier, if you shoot the ball and don't play any defense, I mean, that's the average tier. Obviously, Kyle Korver, Chris Mullin are a little above the rest. Jerry Stackhouse stinks. I'm sorry. Like, D tier, he's not good. Kevin Martin, D tier. I've used him, not good. Quentin Richardson, Don't know if I've used him. D tier, not good. Max Christie, not great. I'll put him in C tier because I respect him a little more than these guys at D tier. Malachi Branham stinks. Isaiah Ryder's not good. C tier, I'll put him. I mean, we got a lot of garbage, man. And then we get Clay Thompson. Now, I don't know what Clay looks like in my team, but supposedly they fixed his release a little bit. That was in one of the patch notes, in one of the patch updates. So I'd be interested to see, like, if his new release is better, you know, what that really does look like. I'd taken one shot with the new release and it felt smooth, but again, I really didn't use Clay before that, so it's kind of hard for me to really compare them and give you guys an accurate picture of, you know, what does that new release look like compared to his old one in my team. Sapphire Kobe, I'm gonna throw a C tier. You can cook people with him. Ruby Kobe, B tier. Both are fine. I mean, they're pre-order cards. They're going to be what they are. Neither one of them are elite, but both are solid enough that you can run and have success with my team. Mike Miller, I love you, but you're B tier. Like, I can't go any higher than B tier with you, Mike Miller. Although I do love you, and you've kind of carried me through some modes at the start of this year. ML Carr, really solid. I mean, honestly, ML Carr, borderline A tier. I'm going to throw him in B tier, but he is borderline A tier in my team. Richard Hamilton, B tier as well. Richard Hamilton is absolutely elite in my team. In my opinion, just the worst Bruce Bowen. Same thing with ML Carr. Sam Jones, he kind of stinks. For a collector card, you'd think he'd be better. He is C tier though. Wally Serbiak, you can use him. I don't necessarily love him in my team. And then last but certainly not least, Wesley Matthews is going into C tier. So here's how it ranks. I mean, our S tier is the elite of the elite. Okay, those are my top 5. How I rank them in order is probably how they are right now, honestly. I mean, if I had to come to a conclusion right now. A tier, a level that is really good, and you see, you know, Clyde, Dominic for free, as well as, you know, Bruce Bowen. Cards you can have a lot of success with. Anybody C tier or lower, cards I don't recommend running. B tier is kind of the okay tier, but not great. Like, you can have fun with them, but not. Are they really doing that much for you at this stage? Probably not. That's gonna wrap it up for our tier list today, guys. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you already do it. As always, man, I love you guys, and have a blessed day.